It's Christmas! Welcome! Merry Christmas, Pascal. How are you?
I'm very good, and Merry Christmas to you, our viewers and listeners. This is episode number 20. Would you believe it?
I know. Happy holidays. We are absolutely in the festive season and the festive spirit, should I say. Welcome to the 90-day website Mastery podcast. Yes, as Pascal's just said, this is episode 20. We're celebrating the launch of our new program, the completion of the website best practice webinar series. We wanted to find a way to continue to share more advice and insights about making your website work harder and for you to feel proud about your website again. We've got 4 segments in every episode. We've got You Ask, We Answer. We have website stories. We have the website engine room. And of course, we always finish with a call to action. So we have the website call to action where you could make one change or adjustment that you could make to your website right now to help you start feeling proud of your website. Pascal, we've got the title of this one as being Boost Your Website Success, Content Optimization and Essential Tools. So I think we're in for a treat, seeing that it's Christmas as well.
Yes, I mean, ultimately, when we think about number 20, that means that 20 questions that we've answered so far. That's 20 content pieces about, being proud of your website again. That's 40 taken as we reviewed for people and 40 adjustments that you can do so that your website can work harder for you.
When you add up the numbers, it's mad. I think we should just get cracking. Christmas crackers. We'll start with the first segment, which is You Ask, We Answer.
So we have a very interesting question for number 20. In fact, this is somebody that kind of challenged me, a listener of the show, that reminded me that some episodes ago, Jonny and I recommended that people should look at the performance of their blog post, pick the best performing ones and add media content to get more value and more results from your website. But then I was challenged saying, well, what about the blog articles who have little to no traffic? What am I supposed to do with them? You didn't mention it on your show. Question is, should I delete them or should I keep them?
Well, from my SEO background, I'm forever looking at things like this, to be perfectly honest, because what you find is that blogs that you have on the website that get very little traffic actually drag your website down in a way. And hold your website back and can have an effect on the relevancy of your overall website. So what we're wanting to do is constantly paint a picture to the likes of Google, to the likes of the search engines, that our entire website is engaging. And so if you have blog posts that have little to no traffic, actually, it's really important to start dealing with them. I know that we have the 3 R's methodology, which I'll let you go into a bit more, Pascal. But for me, it's about understanding, having a look at the content and deciding, okay, is there something that we could do with this? If there's low traffic, does it need an update? Does it need rewriting? Or alternatively, do we need to delete it? Do we need to remove it? And just admit that actually that blog post was great at the time and it was relevant for whatever it was at the time, but actually it's just way past it. It's not relevant anymore at all. So it's around, could we make something evergreen? Could we update something? Or actually, is it just time to delete? And as I said, from an SEO point of view, there's one of the things that we do in the initial work looking at a website is looking at traffic to blogs, identify ones that are low traffic and actually start removing some.
That's interesting, that kind of decluttering. I myself am a self-confessed content hoarder, so I do find it difficult to remove. To your point, Jonny, sometimes I find myself having very fond memories of the creation bit. So you kind of go, oh, do I have to? It's a bit like video editing, which we're going to come on to in a moment. So I'm going to bring the audience as well as the SEO element to say, well, can you do enough research to ascertain whether or not what the article is about is still of interest and still relevant? And if that's the case, then is it that maybe it was too short? Maybe was it poorly supported by the lack of internal links? Or maybe it was one of those that got forgotten during the email marketing and social media push and so on. So if it's relevant, then I'm keen to look at a way to either retain, rewrite, or remove. These are the 3 R's that we teach on the 90-day website mastery program. So the retain for me, Jonny, would be that some very, very minor adjustments to bring it alive again, to maybe refresh, the thumbnail, to maybe look at the way you split the article by creating more headlines, subheaders, and that kind of things, and making sure that it is linked and referred to internally very, very well. So the retain is where, once again, it remains relevant, it remains of interest, and hopefully belongs to a bigger family of articles. The rewrite suggests that you are still on subject, but you completely got the tone wrong, you got the structure wrong. It needs to completely be looked at again from top to bottom. And then the remove is what you said. So it's not relevant, it's of no interest. Maybe you've written something that is actually a lot better and resonate more with your audience, and it's literally been superseded by perhaps not even more recent, but just better performing ones. So retain, rewrite, and remove is something that people should do, I would say, once a quarter by looking at the performance of their website. But the end of year, the start of the year is a very, very good time as well to be doing this exercise.
I like the phrase that you used, declutter.
Mhm.
We all need to declutter. I'm also a hoarder as well, and but it freshens the mind, decluttering, and so I think, yeah, really, really worth it. I should say, by the way, that if you're listening or watching, perhaps you're listening to the replay. Brilliant if you're here on the podcast. Thank you very much. Maybe you're with us live right now. We are live. We're live on Facebook. We're live on LinkedIn. We're live on YouTube. So if you're with us right now, please do drop some comments. Merry Christmas to you. But if you're listening on the replay, it's brilliant to have you. And make sure, if this is helpful, resourceful, please tell your friends as well. So I missed mentioning that at the beginning. I just wanted to make sure that everyone felt welcome, whatever platform you were listening to us on. We're really grateful that you're here. So thank you very much. Perhaps we should move to our next segment, which is website stories.
Now, in this segment of the show, Jonny and I choose an article, a podcast, or a video, something that we can review and react so that we can derive some lessons and be better website marketers. So we've chosen a video title, On-Page Video SEO, a Whiteboard Friday by Crystal Carter for our friends at moz.com. So I think that's probably the third or fourth time that we've had Moz, but it's just a great resource. It's a wonderful destination. It was really my first go-to website when I started as an SEO trainer and consultant. A quick introduction for you, Jonny, and our viewers and listeners. Crystal Carter is the head of SEO communications at Wix, and she was asked to quote and mention what her favorite thing is about SEO. And I love this sentence that she wrote in her profile. She wrote, "I enjoy the thrill of the hunt, finding a riddle, coming up with a solution, and making it work." And I think, with regard to what we do, whether it's from website design to website optimization and SEO, it is about actually solving this enigma, the riddle of audience engagement, audience interest, but also our own passion as business owners and as content creators, and having that kind of perfect relationship. Now, on the subject of on-page video SEO, the Whiteboard Fridays is well, it's known to you and I, but very, very quickly, as the name may suggest, we have an expert like Crystal that literally has written on the whiteboard a quick summary, sometimes very visual, of what she wants to talk about, and then she just does the chalk and talk. And there's something really, really attractive about a handwritten note on a whiteboard, different colors, very imperfect graphics, as opposed to what we're saying at the moment, where people are trying to make it look too sharp and too perfect. And there's a reason why I'm mentioning this. So what I like about the video is twofold. Structure. I love when something is explained with structure. So in this case, with video SEO, with regard to video on your website, she splits the considerations and a reflection, indeed the conversation you should be having with your team and your web designer around three elements: the video content itself, so the video file, you could also say, the video platform that will host your video, and then the video web page. And on bear in mind, the subject of the podcast and our program, I'm going to zero into the video webpage. So please do watch the entire video to have some insight into what she recommends when it comes to video content, video platform. But this video webpage, so how do we get maximum value from the effort it takes to create a video? Just looking at 4 key elements. Number one, of course, the technical SEO foundation of having a video. And in 2024 onwards, you won't be surprised to hear, Jonny, that it's just not enough now to just copy and paste the URL from YouTube, let's say, or Vimeo and Wistia and a few others, and then walk away from the whole thing. She's really asking us to consider doing a bit more and talk to your designers, talk to your kind of technicians to have the ability to generate structured data for your website, and in particular, adding additional meta tags. So that's number one. Number two, this is interesting, adding a transcript to your site. So below the video, maybe after the show notes, as we sometimes call them, can we have a literally word-for-word transcript of the conversation? Now, someone could be surprised and say, well, what's the point? I'm either going to read or I'm not going to watch. But we now know that people will press play and then follow along whilst reading the transcript, almost like what we used to when we were children. And we had the story being read, we wanted to see the pages and word. But what she's arguing, it's not just, and of course that's the primary consideration, it's not to add value to your visitors' experience, but also Google is needing to see that we have some natural language on the web page at the time where everything is produced by AI in volume. And she's making reference to the infamous experience, expertise, authority, and trustworthiness. Next, make sure that your video is at the top of the page, literally just after your H1. Now, this may surprise our viewers and listeners thinking, well, sure, that's obvious. Jonny and I will show you examples of videos that are literally at the bottom of the page. I see this all the time. Bit of a side, people are rushing a bit their content creation. They forgot, quick, and they plonk, the YouTube URL. So it needs to be at the top of the page. And then finally, can you find ways to encourage people to react and comment on that video web page by opening up the comment sections if you have one, or at least finding ways for people to be seen to be reacting positively? Google is also looking after that. So this is the element of video web page, which is supplemented by the video on video content and video platform consideration. But yeah, it was a great Whiteboard Friday. She covers a lot of grounds in the space of 10 minutes.
It's got the key elements totally. So the 4 things that you mentioned, it's adding that schema, adding that additional meta tags. And if you've got a WordPress site, you can use things like Rank Math or Yoast to be able to inject meta tags onto the video quite easily. Transcripts, no brainer. It's a great way to get the content onto the page. In fact, I'd go further and I'd add section topics and sort of bullet point the different topics that were in the video as well, to add a bit more content to the page. Yeah, making sure that the video is at the top of the page, obviously, and user-generated content. How can you get some real content on the page from users? So, yeah, I think you're right. A lot of website owners literally just embed the video and don't even think about the SEO side of it or the engagement side of it. And if you want to feel proud of your website, which is what the 90-day website mastery course is all about, then you need to not just do the bare minimum.
No, and if I may, just very quickly make a recommendation, because I've been working with clients a lot. I mean, obviously, people will know that video is kind of my favorite content type, although I cover all others. There's a lot of video content now is produced directly on social media, which is then lost to time and algorithms. So my recommendation would be for people to spend time maybe in early next year to reclaim those video files, find a way for them to be a part of your website experience, because this is just lost and wasted opportunities for your audience to be impressed with what you have to say and do.
Absolutely. And on that note, we'll go to our 3rd segment, which is the website engine room.
In each episode, Johnny and I choose one app, one software solution, maybe one piece of kit that can make life easier as a website manager and content creator. We always surprise each other. We don't discuss it before, going live or recording the podcast. So, Johnny, what is your selection for episode 20?
For episode 20, I'm going with OptinMonster. It's been around quite a while now. But it's so powerful. It's a really powerful lead generation piece of kit, basically, that you can embed, put on top of your website. It's highly effective. It gives you pop-ups, it gives you floating bars, all sorts of other types of features that it's got, including opt-in forms as well, ultimately to help grow your email list and to convert more visitors into subscribers or clients or customers. It's about that, making sure that you're giving them a welcome, making sure that you've got things happening at relevant, thinking about that user journey, and as they're going around the website, as they're doing different things, as they're interacting with different areas, it's about jumping out and taking their hand and leading them where you want them to go, and getting those that trust in front of them to be able to ultimately convert, as I said, into growing the list, whether it be email list or what we really want, clients and customers. So converting into clients and customers. Episode 20, it's all about OptinMonster.com for me.
Thank you very much, Johnny. So my selection is probably an odd one. It's something that we mentioned ever so briefly a few episodes ago, which is having Zoom meetings and using them to actually support your content creation efforts. So my role as a digital marketing consultant and storytelling consultant is to find ways for people to not miss out on that spark, that moment, which I call the content moment, where you are at your best in conversation mode. And it is likely that the vast majority of you will have video meetings with prospects, with clients, with colleagues, with suppliers, and so on. And you're having great conversation. Within those conversations, you'll find yourself sharing very helpful, insightful advice. And very often I'll say to, when people ask me the question, where do I begin with my website management journey? Where do I begin with my content marketing journey? As to begin by retelling the conversation you had yesterday. But the reaction I get is, do you know what? I wish I'd recorded this because I've forgotten, or I said something really, really clever, but I don't remember the words I used specifically. So Zoom introduced a few months ago, and I've been testing it with a vengeance, the AI summary, or they call it sometimes the AI companion, as part of a portfolio of support. So you and I could be on Zoom. We could actually be recording this session, and you get a pretty damn good AI summary. So it's not a transcription. Let's be very, very clear here. It's as if somebody was taking notes on the side of the room, and then they were sending you the meeting notes afterwards. And my recommendation, therefore, is get into the habit to always, always select the AI summary as often as you can on Zoom, and I'm sure the platform will have a similar platform. And then at the end of each month, I want you to take the best bits of those different AI summaries and write an article, which is essentially the best advice roundup. So you can take a paragraph from AI summary number 2, a paragraph from AI summary number 4 and 6 and 10 and 11 of that month, and you create yourself an article saying, well, I've been quite busy. I met some very interesting people, and here's a summary of the kind of conversation and advice that I've given for your own benefit, because unfortunately you could not be there yourself. And I think those habits of capturing yourself when you're conversation mode is going to be very, very important for next year.
Yeah, there are other tools that you can get for Teams, but with Zoom, it's fully integrated, dead easy. You can actually leave it on default as well, so that it's always on whenever you start a meeting. And as Pascal said, it's frighteningly good. It's very clever, and it really does summarize very well. So much so that you can even turn it into purely just sending notes to the client afterwards to say, this is what we've agreed. Perhaps you're using it for internal meetings, but what Pascal's particularly talking about here is taking those, I call them gold dust moments, and really grabbing them and making something of it, and the AI is there to ultimately capture everything that you're saying and remember it. So yeah, it's worth it.
Do you know what's interesting? Now that I know that I've got AI summary, I'm being more careful about how I structure what I say, so that I don't have to edit the advice afterwards, which is actually to the benefits of the other person, saying, "All right, or I do a better job now to recap at the end of the meeting as well than I used to, because I know that I'm going to get a better AI summary for it."
Very true, but do you know what's also interesting? I find myself sometimes holding myself back, thinking the machine is listening. I might be careful what I'm saying, but
So
it's
now, interesting for viewers and listeners, who is training who? Is my behavior being, detected by the presence of AI? But sincerely, I did the final test for yesterday. I had a 1 hour meeting with a client, and the AI summary, I just had to essentially tweak the spelling of their name, and that was it. It was perfect.
It's mad. Well, that was segment 3, the website engine room. Let's move to segment 4, which is the website call to action.
And this is about the one change, the one adjustment you should be making right now on your website. Jonny, what is your recommendation?
So if you have a form or a checkout on your website, it's all about adding a progress indicator. And what that is it shows how you're progressing within the checkout, within the form. Perhaps you're showing the number of steps. So maybe, it's something green in a bar shows that you're at step 1, step 2, step 3, stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. Or perhaps it's a percentage so that the user can easily see that they're sort of at 33%. They've got whatever left. And what this is about is ultimately increasing that conversion to the user filling out the form or completing the checkout, because what you're showing is how many steps they've already taken and there's not that many left, and you're showing that progress and you're making them feel like there's not too much more to do. Obviously, if you've got a very complicated long form, then of course that's going to take longer, but even so, it's still going to help you get the proof, and the data shows that people are more likely to fill out more of the form or complete more of the checkout if there's a progress indicator in place. So it's one small change that I think can make quite a difference on the conversion, which ultimately, if you make just a 1% change on conversion, the power of that in terms of profit is quite remarkable.
And you're right, the data is very, very clear. that kind of, the progress bar could be visual, could be a percentage figure, could be you're on to 3 or 5. Really works really well. My selection is a build up on something you mentioned a few months ago, which is around the footer. So your recommendation at the time was around making sure you have all the elements expected of you from a legal standpoint as well as a practical one. But again, because of the time of year, I think there is an opportunity here for all of us to review everything, the layout and the design, in fact, of your footer. So it doesn't look like it's something that's been neglected completely. A bit like what can happen sometimes when with the contact us form or that kind of thing, where it looks very mechanical and it doesn't give the impression that there's been any care and attention given to it compared to the rest of the website. So for me, the footer is probably an element that, granted, can be left alone when you need to go for launch, but a year, 2 years, 5, 10 years later, I think you want to give the impression that at least you've grouped things differently. You've even looked at the language, you've looked at the design element and make them smile. And then I would add on to that a very, very important one, which is around credibility. Make sure that when you have your copyright statement, you put actually the year your business started and the current year. So you can really show that you've been in operation for a number of years. Because I know some people have got the footer to automatically change the year, but actually you're under communicating, one of my favorite terms this year with Side A. Well, if you've been trading for 10 years, it should read 2014, 2024, as opposed to just 2024 copyright or rights reserved. So look at the footer, do some research, look at what other industries do with the design and layout of the footer, and make sure that in your copyright statement, we see the full kind of the full trading years, if you will, and your seniority as an active participant in your industry.
And what I love about this is that it's just in our nature. We try to give actionable advice. That's just what we like to do. And that's the smallest of things, using a 2014 to 2024 instead of just 24. it adds another tick box of trust. And ultimately, people buy. They buy from people they like. They buy from people. It's about, it's the price, it's the product, but it's also, do they like you? Do they trust you? And just being able to demonstrate that you've been trading for 10, 15, even 5 years, it adds trust. And it's just a tiny tweak that, will take a fraction of a minute to implement. So yeah, really like that. But in terms of the footer itself, so many websites I've seen, maybe it's a template website, the footer just hasn't been considered in the slightest. And that's where sometimes you can start scrolling down and think, I'm not very proud of this website. And you get that pang in your stomach when someone says, what's your website address? And partly the footer's actually had some play in it because it's just bloody awful. So I love that website call to action this week, Pascal. Thank you.
Thank you, and yours as well. Actually, because recently I did have to complete a survey, and you know that when you begin to go, I hope this is not going to take too long, and they had a progress bar, and which meant that I was more willing to participate and complete the survey as a result as well. So very, very valid point.
Yeah, totally. What another episode. Let's reflect. Let's see what we've covered. So I'm going to play some Christmas music at the same time because it's season. It is the season. We talked about blog articles and really considering whether you need to use our 3 R's, which is retain, rewrite, or remove. And what we're suggesting is that if you've got low traffic blog articles, you absolutely need to do something with them, whether it be retain, whether it be rewrite, whether it be remove. Retain is making a little tweak. Rewrite is full rewrite, or remove is just delete. Nothing wrong with a bit of decluttering, especially at this time of year. Although I think you were suggesting once a quarter, Pascal. Was that what you said?
Yeah, once a quarter during your kind of website review meeting.
Yeah. We talked about video SEO. Don't just embed the video. Think about the meta tags. Think about the transcript. Whatever content can you add to the page? We talked about using AI to enhance your meetings, but also to get those gold dust moments out of your meetings. OptinMonster to help convert into whether it be into subscribers or customers. And we've given you a couple of call to actions. Use progress indicators on your forms, and rethink and review your footer. So all in all, it's content optimization with a few essential tools that hopefully will start making you feel more proud of your website.
And as you mentioned, these are very, very easy to implement. They are also a great point of discussion with your team, with your designers and so on. So don't try and do everything on your own necessarily. There's pleasure in delegation, as well as working as part of a team or a cohort if you're part of a mastermind group. And the whole idea being that 2024 will be then moving to 31 years of internet, and you are addressing an audience who is very, very mature, who is very visually literate about what is good, bad, and ugly. And we only have a few seconds to make the right first impression. So go through what we've discussed today, but also the other 19 episodes. They are short form on purpose, so you can really take action. And well, let's just say that we will have a few more surprises to announce next year as well, to make sure that once again you can feel part of your website again and just approach what you need to do with great passion.
Well, that is it for today. This was episode 20 of our new website podcast series, the audio companion to the 90-day website mastery program. For more information, please visit 90daymarketingmastery.com, and you'll be able to book your discovery call with either myself or Pascal. We'll be back with another episode, of course, in 2024. In the meantime, feel free to send your questions, share your preferred apps and links to your website once you've made the changes we spoke about, because we'd love to give you a shout out. Merry Christmas, everyone. Happy holidays. It's and Happy New Year even. Bye for now, and we'll leave you with a fun video and audio montage whilst you go through your notes and actions and put them in place and make your website amazing. Take care. Merry Christmas. See you soon.